everyone! I'm Maki! Are you fans of the Grim Reaper? The Gundam Death Size series from the Gundam Wing story is probably the most famous. The Death Guns from the F90 series also call themselves Grim Reapers. Today, I'm going to introduce a mobile suit known as the Blue Reaper. This is Blue Destiny UNIT1. Is something wrong? It is an official document included among the information released by the Federation government following the collapse of the Titans in Universal Century 0088. The photograph was attached to an article written by Jessica Dowan, a moon-based journalist. Unfortunately, she is currently missing. Her article and photograph were given the low classification of gossip, but only a few people in the Universal Century know that this assessment was incorrect. It seems you are interested in the truth about Blue Destiny. If so, please continue watching the program at your own risk. Take care not to be detected by the Earth's Federation government intelligence agencies. This is the real Blue Destiny Unit 1. It appeared on battlefields, where many people lost their lives, earning it the nickname Blue Reaper, as it hunted down every living being indiscriminately. What features does this mobile suit have? I have explained the exam system and the important feature of the Blue Destiny series in detail in a separate program. Please take a look at that too! Support my channel by becoming a member for just 99 cents per month. As a thank you gift, you will receive a name badge and comment stamps. Now, let the research begin. The exam system, developed by the defected Zeon scientist Dr. Crust Moses, was deemed beneficial to the Earth's Federation forces. The Earth's Federation forces provided a gym ground type to carry the exam system. At the time, this was one of the most recently officially operated mobile suits by the Earth's Federation forces. However, the gym was unfamiliar equipment to Dr. Crust, who had previously worked with mobile suits from the Principality of Zeon. To address this, the Earth's Federation forces assigned technical captain Olive Camera to the project. He had also participated in designing the Gundam ground type and was one of the Federation forces' leading experts in mobile suit technology and knowledge at the time. With Olive's help, the development of a mobile suit dedicated to exam proceeded smoothly. The exam system removes the limitations imposed on the mobile suit's propulsion systems and thermonuclear reactor. This dramatically improves its combat capabilities. The most important factor is cooling performance. Each component produces an extreme amount of heat when its limiter is disabled. The torso was the first part to undergo modification. The chest heat exhaust system was enlarged. A coolant tank was installed on the back, and a system was adopted that used pipes connected to the abdomen to discharge coolant through ducts at the front. This type of cooling system was standard in the Principality of Zeon forces. Here, the technologies of the Earth's Federation forces and the Zeon forces were being combined. Next, the joints, which also generated a lot of heat, were improved. Additional cooling devices were installed in the arms, waist and legs. Thus, the first Blue Destiny was completed. However, the test results were unsuccessful. The gym ground type generator had a problem with heat dissipation efficiency. For this reason, the officially adopted model was operated with its output intentionally reduced. Installing exam exacerbated its poor heat dissipation characteristics. As the entire concept involved operating the machine with its limiters disabled, the two were extremely incompatible. While exam was active, the machine would overheat in under 1 minute, even with the cooling system operating at full capacity. It would enter a dangerous state unless it was shut down immediately. Following this failure, class demanded a mobile suit with a more durable structure and a higher output engine. The Federation forces approved this request and provided a Gundam ground type as the new base machine. The head containing the exam system was removed from Blue Destiny and all its other components were discarded. To distinguish this discarded machine from the Blue Destiny series developed later, it eventually became known as Blue Destiny UNIT1. The Gundam ground type, which was provided as the new base machine, was certainly more high performance than the Gym ground type. However, it still did not reach the performance level Crust had envisioned. Without Lift's help, the Gundam ground type underwent extensive modifications. First, every component was disassembled. Each part was then subjected to a rigorous quality inspection, with improvements or replacements carried out as necessary. It is said that this work required as much money and effort as developing an entirely new mobile suit. Magnet coating was also applied to each joint. This technology, developed by Dr. Moskhan, was still in the experimental phase and had never been used in an operational setting. However, response speed was the most important factor for the exam system, so magnet coating was deemed worth adopting despite having no operational record. The cooling system was also significantly upgraded. New, dedicated heat exhaust systems that were only used when exam was active were installed on the waist and shoulders. A total of 13 heat exhaust ducts were also installed throughout the body. Additionally, the cooling pipes were changed to an internal design. The pipes that had previously been exposed on the outside of Unit 0 were now housed inside the body. This design change also enhanced its defensive capabilities. Furthermore, complete disassembly allowed the internal mechanisms to be modified, enabling improvements to be made to the weapons. This created additional space for carrying more equipment. The Gundam ground type originally had only one Vulcan cannon installed in its chest, but this was increased to 2. A wire-guided missile launcher was also added. The original Vulcan cannons installed in the head of Unit 0 were also retained. These weapons made the Blue Destiny Unit 1 extremely heavily armed by Universal Century 0079 standards. An interesting passage about this can be found in the official Encyclopedia Gundam Officials. It appears in the section about the Gabi Tetra. The Gabi Tetra is equipped with two 100mm machine cannons on its arms. For a mobile suit of that era, these were extremely powerful built-in weapons. According to Gundam officials, the design philosophy of incorporating such high firepower weapons into a mobile suit marked the beginning of a trend in later eras, where mobile suits grew larger by carrying huge numbers of built-in weapons. The chest missiles of Blue Destiny Unit 1 are even more powerful than the machine cannons. The fact that it also contains 4 Vulcan cannons makes it heavily armed for a mobile suit of this era. An important point not to be forgotten is that the missiles are wire-guided and can be controlled. Does this feature seem familiar to you? That's right! The Gundam. Of course, there is no official setting stating that the Gundam and the Blue Destiny are technologically connected. Nevertheless, it is interesting that their features are very similar. The Blue Destiny is a fascinating mobile suit that anticipated characteristics found in mobile suits from later eras. One thing that always draws attention when discussing Blue Destiny is its tendency to run wildly. In my research program about the exam system, I explained the detailed classifications of these incidents. This time, however, let's focus on the Berserk incident that actually occurred in the story. By examining it, we can also discover some interesting aspects of the exam system. This happened before the protagonist of the story, Yukajima, encountered Blue Destiny. It was November in Universal Century 0079. Blue Destiny UNIT1 was undergoing an experiment. The purpose of the experiment was to teach the brainwave measurement unit to recognize the brainwaves produced by soldiers on the battlefield. A battlefield is a place where enormous amounts of emotion, such as fear of death and hatred, are generated. Although a pilot was on board, the machine was not actually going to fight on the battlefield. The sole objective was to enable the software to learn the brainwaves of soldiers. The reason for having a pilot on board during this experiment is unclear. I will explain my own view later, so please wait a little longer. The experiment, which Dr. Cross was present for, took an unexpected turn. The exam system suddenly activated, fully overrode the pilot's controls, and charged onto the battlefield. It then began to attack both the Federation and Zeon forces. During its rampage, the exam system encountered the 11th Independent Mechanized Composite Corps, to which you belonged. Blue Destiny was disabled during this battle. Due to his performance in the battle, you was later assigned as Blue Destiny's pilot. Blue Destiny now demonstrated astonishing combat capabilities, even while unmanned. While fighting both sides, it nearly wiped out the entire Federation and Zeon forces. Many fans have said that Blue Destiny might be more useful if it were operated as an unmanned machine. This would certainly be beneficial, as it would eliminate the need for a pilot whose training demands a great deal of time and money. However, no source provides a clear answer to this question. Please bear in mind that what I am about to say is based on my own personal speculation. There is an interesting passage in the novel version of the story. After you activated the exam system and finished the battle, the following impression was shared. When I activated the system, could it be that I became one with exam and turned into part of the system itself? He felt as though he had become part of the exam system. Have you ever heard that the human brain is extremely difficult to replicate with the machine? It can process an enormous amount of information with incredible flexibility. It also has the complex characteristic of changing the way its cells or neurons function as information is processed. Despite performing such complicated processing, it is said to consume only about as much energy as a single light bulb. In the real world, it is said that completely reproducing the brain with the machine is extremely difficult. The same may be true in the Universal Century. The technology for unmanned weapons had not yet been developed. Prototype unmanned weapons software called the RS system was not tested until Universal Century 0088. In any case, unmanned weapon technology did not exist in 0079. It is also interesting that the core of the exam system resembles a human brain in shape. Now, let's analyze these facts alongside Yu's statement. Could exam have been designed to use the pilot's brain as part of the system? In other words, perhaps it is a system that can only function by treating the human brain with its extremely advanced information processing abilities as one of its components. Although I Am Raditophans is set in a different world to the universal century. It includes a scene in which a human brain is treated as a component. Could the exam system have been designed according to a similar philosophy? As I said earlier, of course, this interpretation includes my own personal speculation. Why do you think exam requires a human pilot when it can operate unmanned? Although the Berserk incident was brought under control temporarily, it was a problem that had to be solved for the Blue Destiny development project to continue. This incident led Alif to install a certain device in Blue Destiny. It was a limiter. However, Alif did not fully understand exam. Dr. Klaus was the only person who fully understood exam. Alif's limiter did not modify exam itself. Instead, he installed a mechanism between Blue Destiny's body and the exam system. After analyzing the Berserk incident, he discovered a phenomenon whereby exam lost the ability to distinguish friend from foe. He defined this state as going berserk. He therefore installed a subsystem that would disconnect exam from the control system whenever this ability was lost. In theory, this made Blue Destiny a mobile suit capable of effectively utilizing its combat abilities without going berserk. However, installing this limiter effectively restricted more than half of exam's performance. Klaus seemed dissatisfied with Alif's decision. This measure would later lead to a major incident. I plan to discuss this in the program introducing Blue Destiny Unit 2. Please look forward to it. Now, let's take a look at the weapons used by the Blue Destiny Unit 1. Although it is a prototype, it can almost certainly use the weapons officially adopted by the Earth's Federation forces. It also has weapon drive connectors in its palms. Yukajima's unit is also responsible for testing mobile suit combat technology. Testing the operation of various weapons is one of their missions. This is why the comic version depicts the unit using a wide variety of equipment. It would take too long to introduce every weapon, so this time, let's focus on the ones that play an active role in the story. I will introduce the main weapons used in the novel. When Blue Destiny appears in other media, these weapons are often used as its primary armaments. First are the head Vulcan cannons. These standard 30mm weapons are used by the Earth's Federation forces. However, these Vulcan cannons are not standard weapons for Earth's Federation mobile suits. They were adapted from weapons originally designed for Earth's Federation aircraft. These Vulcan cannons were installed for use against conventional weapons such as tanks and aircraft, as well as infantry, rather than mobile suits. The gym ground type was not originally equipped with Vulcan cannons in its head. Surprisingly, the head of the gym ground type contained older communication equipment and radar. This equipment was installed based on the assumption that Minovsky particles would disperse and disappear due to atmospheric currents. Minovsky particles scattered across a battlefield disappear over time. Therefore, older communication equipment could still be used effectively in areas where Minovsky particles were no longer present. However, many people in the field requested fixed weapons to be mounted in the head. The external Vulcan cannon unit was developed in response to this request. Blue Destiny Unit 1 is equipped with this weapon. While Blue Destiny may seem like a specially designed mobile suit, it is also an example of Federation Forces equipment being used. Next are the chest Vulcan cannons. These are the same weapons found on the Alex-78. The Vulcan cannons are installed alongside laser targeting devices with one cannon on each side. The Gundam ground type had a cooling duct on the right side of its chest. However, on Blue Destiny Unit 1, this was moved to the center of the chest. This made it possible to install Vulcan cannons on both sides. Next are the wire-guided missiles. These are extremely powerful anti-mobile suit weapons. One missile container is installed on each side. Each container can hold only one missile. While some games allow multiple missiles to be fired, this is simply an adjustment made to provide a more enjoyable gameplay experience. The missiles cannot be reloaded individually and are resupplied by replacing the entire container. Each missile contains a 5 kW fiber optic guidance cable so that it can track enemies even under the influence of Minovsky particles. The missile tip is also equipped with a camera that can detect both infrared and visible light. The missile is controlled from inside the cockpit. Naturally, the pilot must also control Blue Destiny's body at the same time, which places a heavy burden on them. For this reason, the missiles are normally used one at a time. It is impossible to control two missiles simultaneously. However, these missiles also have a mode called Dual Mode that allows both missiles to be fired together. When used in this mode, the missiles are launched one after the other with a 0.5-second delay. The second missile follows the first. Some games respect this setting and depict the missiles being fired with a slight delay. Other equipment can be installed in the mounting points originally used for missile containers. For example, propellant tanks can be installed to extend the machine's operating time. Large and guided missiles can also be fitted. Next is the 100mm machine gun. This is a standard weapon used by the Earth Federation Forces mobile suits. In games and other media, however, it is often depicted as being relatively weak. However, in Blue Destiny, it is depicted as a fairly powerful weapon. It is capable of penetrating a mobile suit's armor and destroying its engine when fired at close range. Many sources state that it holds 28 rounds. Carrying additional magazines makes it possible to fire many more rounds, of course. Although the beam rifle is often described as a powerful weapon, in Universal Century 0079 it could only fire 12-15 shots before needing to be recharged. Once its energy is depleted, it cannot be used again until it is resupplied at the mothership or base. By contrast, as I mentioned earlier, this machine gun has roughly twice the ammunition capacity of a beam rifle, and its magazines can be replaced. It also has sufficient firepower for attacking mobile suits. While the beam rifle is powerful, its firepower can be excessive, rendering it unnecessary equipment depending on the situation. When fighting mobile suits from this era, the 100mm machine gun is often the more useful weapon. Next is the beam saber. This is a beam saber designed for the Gundam ground type. The LX-78 carried its beam sabers on its back. However, the Gundam ground type stores its beam sabers inside its legs. Consequently, its overall size is smaller than that of the LX-78's beam sabers. For this reason, it is generally held and used with one hand. Nevertheless, during development, the requirement was to reduce its size while maintaining the same performance as the LX-78's beam sabers. Although this was an extremely unreasonable demand, it was successfully achieved. This weapon is a testament to Alif's exceptional ability as the engineer responsible for designing the Gundam ground type. Finally, there is the defense shield. Based on the LX-78 shield, it was designed according to the requirements of the Earth's Federation Forces Army. Its official name is the Multiple Shield. The protrusion at the tip is called the anchor plow. This can serve not only as defensive equipment, but also as a shovel for digging trenches. It is made from lunar titanium alloy, which gives it extremely high durability. For this reason, the anchor plow is sometimes used offensively against enemies. Some people also think that the idea of using the anchor plow offensively was inspired by the way Ray used his shield. These are the basic weapons of the Blue Destiny Unit 1. Finally, let's take a look at the settings that determine the colors of Blue Destiny Unit 1. First, let's examine why its camera glows red. When the exam system is activated, the camera section of its head glows red. Surprisingly, no clear official explanation has yet been revealed. However, a book called Master Archive provides a clue. I often use this book as a reference in my programs, and it was published under the premise that it was written by a journalist living in the universal century. Although it contains official settings, readers should bear in mind that it also includes the journalist's own speculation. The book says the following: no rational explanation could be found for why the eyes glow red when the exam system activates. However, this could be interpreted as a function that alerts allied forces and observers that the system has been activated. The exam system activates automatically. Therefore, it is important to have a mechanism that informs allies when the system has activated, even when observation systems are not operating. In other words, it serves as a warning light. That certainly sounds like a convincing explanation. Next, let's look at why its body was painted blue. This is explained in the novel. Through his interactions with Marion Welch, a new type girl crossed moors came to believe that space looks blue to new types. While ordinary humans perceive space as pitch black darkness, new types are said to perceive the color blue. He then concluded that old types needed to paint their bodies blue to experience the same sensations as new types. This is why Blue Destiny was painted blue. However, class did not tell the maintenance staff this reason. In the story, the maintenance staff say that the machine was painted blue simply because it was Dr. Cross's personal preference. Earth's Federation Forces documents also appear to state that it was painted blue because blue was Dr. Cross's favorite color. Which feature of the Blue Destiny Unit 1 do you like the most? I am fascinated by the fact that despite having the face of a gem, it displays astonishing combat abilities. Despite having the same face as a gem, there is something intriguing about the way its expression somehow appears frightening. That concludes today's research. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you again in the next program.